So I just sent thousands of dollars to a company in China that I really don't have any sort of relationship with. And in about 4 months' time, a camp is supposed to arrive for my Gladiator. So today I'm going to show you what I ordered, how much it cost, and whether buying a camper from Alibaba was a great idea or a terrible one. But before we get into all of that, I want to go over why am I replacing my current setup, my current rooftop tent. There's a few actual good reasons. The most important reason why I'm going away from the rooftop tent and going into something that's I guess a more like a camper, although it really isn't, but is so that I can take my dog Shaka with me. Currently, it's really impossible for me to take him with me. He wouldn't do well sleeping in the cab of the vehicle, and a lot of times when I go, it's really cold, so that brings other issues into play. Also, he's a big dog. He weighs 75 pounds, and he is not a big fan of being picked up and stuff like that. So carrying him up to the rooftop tent is really not an option. I've looked into ramps and things like that, but it just is not going to work out. So I've decided to get rid of that and the rack and all of that, and get a enclosed system, which I will go over what I'm getting shortly. But another reason is I don't go camping as much as I would like, mostly because I can't take Shaka with me. The other thing is, I live in Florida, so it's always a long drive to go to any campsite. If I want to go camping, it's really 2, 3, 4 hours drive just to somewhere in Florida even that's decent, or that I would want to go to. So I want something where my camping setup is permanent. So everything has its home, it lives there. I don't take anything out when I'm done except for getting any food out of there and clothing. The rest of it lives in the camper, in an enclosed, safe camper. So the camper I'm getting will not have any windows on it. Only when the pop-up is up will there be any windows exposed. I could have ordered it with windows, but I chose not to. So, all right, let's go back into the house and we'll get into what I'm actually ordering. All right, so the camper that I chose is it's called the model name is a TP07W, which is made by Chen, or I don't know how it's said, but it's QIAN, and it's the company is a health and technology, but they've been on Alibaba for 5 years. So that's kind of the thing you want to look for. Okay, so in this space, there's really seems to be two main contenders. So the one company is Hyperlion, and then I went with the one, which is the Chen Campers, or Chen Technologies is the company, which is QIAN. The reason why I chose that company over the Hyperlion seems to have more products, but the one that I've chosen is the only one that makes the camper that I want. So the one that I've chosen is a TP07W, which stands for wide. So there's a couple of brands in the US that make it, and that's what I was kind of looking at originally. But the reason why I chose to go with this is it's by the time I'm all said and done, it's going to be about a third of the cost. And I just, by the time, those companies, they start out, the other companies start out at around $13,000 or $14,000, which is half of what I'm paying, and then you have to go there for it to be fit, so that's another couple of $1,000. Then there's a bunch of extras. Also, the one that I'm getting The pop-up has hard sides, so there's no canvas, so it can't flap in the wind and stuff like that. The two that are made in the US like this are not have canvas sides. The two in the US that are made like this have canvas sides, which is what I'm trying to get away from, you know, with the rooftop tent and stuff. So I'm going to put a picture of it here, so you guys can see what it looks like, and I'll just, you know, as I'm talking, I'll put a couple of different pictures so you can kind of get the gist of what it is. You know, I did choose some options. So the actual cost of the unit is $4,000. Shipping is $1,480 for me to my door. It may differ depending on where you live in the US or in the world or whatever. But I will show you actually my full invoice, what my total is shortly. I'll go over that in a little bit. All right, so the reason why I chose this particular one, first of all, the hard-sided pop-up is big. So they do make a couple of different ones with a hard-sided, and the Hyperlion do make hard-sided pop-ups as well. But I got the wide, so it actually extends a little wider than the bed of your truck, but it's still not wide where it sticks past the fenders of the Jeep. So it just gives you that little bit more room inside, especially with a Gladiator. It's kind of a narrow vehicle, so it gives me a little bit more room to work with inside. And the other thing is, I wanted this particular type of camper because I want it to be secure and lockable. So when I'm done for, you know, when I'm parked or at home or whatever, everything will be stored in there, as I said before, and it just is ready to go. I can get home from work on a Friday. I can get out, you know, maybe an hour or two early, grab Shaka some clothes and food, and get on the road. And, you know, I can be at camp before it gets dark, and spend the night, you know, a full Saturday, Sunday night, and a morning, and come back on a Sunday afternoon, and I've got away for a weekend. And then also, I want it to be completely self-sufficient. So I did order a shower tent with it. They don't make their shower anymore, so I've got some ideas for that. Let me show you. Let me go over what I actually ordered. I'll put it up. I'll put it up on the screen here. Okay, so the extras that I ordered awning brackets, internal locks, because obviously I want to be able to lock it inside when I'm in there, and also be able to get out if there's an issue. I got the winter liner, so, you know, that's like an insulation for the tent, or I wouldn't say tent, but the pop-up part of it. I got 2 gas brackets so that I can have 2 gas bottles. I would like to have one on each side because I'm going to put a propane heater in instead of the diesel heater. Reason being, I don't want to have any diesel inside the vehicle, and I want everything to be in the vehicle as much as I can. And then I would have to mount a diesel tank, and if there's a leak, you can't ever get that diesel smell out. So I'm going with propane. I've found what I think I'm going to use, but you can see that in later videos once I get the build going. Then I did add molly panels on the outside, on both outside doors and the rear door. Now it does come with molly panels on the insides of those doors, but I added them on the outside so I can add things on that. And then I did get the shower tent. So, you know, those added up, or the full total with shipping and tax. And this is where you've got to be a little careful. You want to keep it on Alibaba. Do not go and pay them separately, because they did say, well, you know, you don't have to pay tax if you you know, if you pay directly, which is gonna just cause problems, and then you have no recourse. Whereas at least Alibaba is supposed to protect you. That site supposedly does protect you if there's an issue. They will step in and actually help. So as long as you do everything on there. So I actually just talked to them, everything on Alibaba. So my total out the door, I'll put my full receipt here in a few minutes, so you can actually see what I'm paying in total. But basically the unit itself is $4,000. The awning brackets $30, the internal locks are $30, the winter liner is $150, the 2 gas brackets come to $160, the molly panels all 3 are $300, and then the shower tent is $120. Then shipping fee is $1,480. That comes to a total of $6,270. And then you pay a sales tax on top of that, which is $438.90. Yeah, so the total is $6,708.90 for my setup, which is still a lot of money. I do get that, but it's a damn sight cheaper than the alternatives, which by the time I'm all said and done, if I added those, just to give you an idea, the one company, the bracket, just the bracket for the gas bottle, one bracket is $350. You know, and once again, I wanted hard-sided pop-up. I did not want a tent fabric, you know. So that's the reasoning behind it. Okay, so here's how the full process works. I contacted them on Alibaba once I found the camper that I want, and the person that I spoke to, her name's Stella, and we had a conversation. Basically told her what I was looking for, and then she gave me a quote. And when I was happy with, we went back a few times, back and forth. Because originally I was going to add a bunch more things, but then I decided that I wanted to keep the cost down. The other reason is, like, for example, the fan, which I think is a great idea, but for me, where I park in the parking garage, I have concerns that even the camper is going to fit in there. It should, but I don't want to add any height to it unnecessarily. They also offer solar panels, stuff like that. There's a bunch of extra things. They even offer glass doors on the sides and the back. They offer barn doors on the back with windows or with glass or fully glass. So they've got a bunch of options. So you can option it out quite a lot. But I decided to go with the basic. I didn't want any glass doors and stuff on the sides and the back. I wanted it to be aluminum, so that just for safety's sake, also nobody can look into it and see what's in there. Alibaba does give you protection, and that's why you should always order on Alibaba. Alibaba's kind of a middleman between you and the manufacturer. And you always want to try and find a manufacturer that's been on Alibaba for a fair period of time, you know, at least a couple of years. This particular company has been on Alibaba for 5 years, and they've got good ratings. So that's, you know, and I have heard of people getting their campers. So here's where what the timeline is, basically. So I placed an order, you pay your 50% deposit, then you get a drawing of a pickup truck with measurements on it. You go and you measure the bed of your truck, the height from the bed to the top of your roof, and they give you a bunch of measurements to take, and then you send that to them, and then once they get those measurements, they send you back a drawing and then you approve it, and then they start manufacturing. You pay that, as I said, that 50% deposit up front, and then you pay the second 50% when your item is ready to ship. So they say that's about 2 months to manufacture. That's what Stella told me. And then she said probably about 2 months for shipping. But I've heard of the shipping taking a month. I've heard of it taking longer than that. And then I've also heard of the manufacturing taking long. So it's, you got to be patient. And that's another thing with ordering on Alibaba. You really, if you want it tomorrow, you're better off just buying something in the US and paying the premium for it. If I ordered the camper from one of the two companies that make that camper here, I would have they'd probably have it done in a matter of a month, and I could go there and they would install it. But once again, you pay for that. I would have to drive from South Florida to Colorado for the one company. I don't know where the other one is, and have them install it. I'm sure the quality of their product is better than what I'm getting, but I don't, I'll show you when I get the camper. You can see what it's like, and I will let you know if there's any defects or if there's any problems in the process, or if God forbid I lose my money. You guys will find out as I do. So I placed the order June 5th. So I'm hoping that by August, beginning of August, end of July, beginning of August, they're complete. So what they'll do is apparently they'll send me pictures of the completed unit, and then they will send me pictures of it boxed up, and it comes in 2 separate boxes. They are very big boxes, so a lot of people that have ordered them tend to get a forklift. Now I'm sending it to my employment, to my work. We have forklifts there, so it's easy, and we have a shipping department, so I'm shipping it to there. I can unload it there, store it there, and I'll also have the use of a forklift when I install it, which will be helpful. So I'm hoping I'll have it and be installed by hopefully October, sometime in October. That'll give me enough time to get the build out done, because I'm planning on going, of course, Thanksgiving is my favorite trip of the year. So hopefully I can do maybe a couple of weekends before that just to dial it in. So yeah, I'll let you know as I find out what's going on. So as soon as I hear from them, I'll make another video. So please like and subscribe for the full series. And the plan for this series is to do the whole buying process, and then once I receive it, the full build out. I've got some really cool ideas for the build out. It's going to be some things quite a lot different from how everybody does it, because I've got quite a lot of things that I need to take with me when I go, that's maybe a little different to what everybody else does. So yeah, I've got some cool ideas, and we will make it happen. So let me see if I missed anything. I've got a little notes here to make sure that I get everything. Yeah, and that's basically it. I did pay for it through PayPal, so that gives me another layer of protection, a little bit, and then it went on a credit card as well, so that's another third layer where we can dispute things and see if there's a problem. But I really don't see there being a problem. It seems to be it seems to be a relatively reputable company from all the research that I've done. So, all right, we'll call this video here. Please like and subscribe for the series, and I will catch you guys on the next one. which will probably be a little walkthrough of the Jeep interior, because I've actually got that quite nicely dialed in and ready for a trip. And then I'm going to start selling off the rooftop tent. I'm probably going to sell the awning too, mostly because I actually want to put the awning on the passenger side instead of the driver's side, because I have found that most of the campsites that I've gone to seem, when you back into it, the fire ring and the area where you want to hang out and the view, because I always want to back in so that the view is always at the back. And I found that if you back in, the passenger side is where you want to be. So most of the campsites I actually have to go in forward, and you will notice that on some of my videos. So that's why I want to move it to the passenger side. But you never really learn those things until you get out there and you actually go and camp for yourself. Most people order the driver's side because, so most people order the driver's side because that's usually the option that's ticked when you go to any one of the sites that have the passenger side. You always have to choose that separately. So so that's what I would like to do. Hopefully I can sell my whole setup, like the rack, the tent, and the awning together. That'll be kind of cool to give somebody else that setup, because it has worked really well. It's just time for me to change things a little bit. So, all right, I'll catch you guys on the next video and see you soon. Cheers.